Hey everyone, before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing. I can still recall the hum of the elevator that day, a gentle metal groan, as if the whole building was worn out from hiding things. I was heading to my job, holding a cup of coffee in one hand and my keys in the other, when my neighbor, Mrs. Harlan, emerged from the end of the corridor. She was the type who always seemed dressed for something special. Her gray hair was twisted into a tidy bun. Her lipstick way too bright for early morning. Emily, she said nicely, her gaze piercing through her lenses. Would you mind if I asked you a quick question? I grinned courteously. Sure thing. What is it? Her voice grew softer, but her question hit hard. Do you have any idea who enters your place every Tuesday around noon? For a moment, I figured she was pulling my leg. I even chuckled a bit. Excuse me? What? Mrs. Harlan cocked her head, examining my expression. My balcony gives me a perfect sight of your entrance. Each Tuesday near 1 o'clock, somebody turns the key and slips in. I thought it might be a pal or a housekeeper, but you should probably look into it. Her tone stayed even nearly kind, yet it nodded my gut. That doesn't make sense, I replied, faking a grin. Only my husband and I have keys. Well, she responded, hitting the elevator call. Then it has to be one of you two. The door slid open with a quiet ding, and she went in, stranding me in the hall with her statement ringing in my ears. The whole workday I couldn't concentrate. The figures on my monitor melted into random blobs. Each time the clock neared 1, I imagined my entrance swinging open to an invisible visitor. By the time I returned home, my heart was pounding. The place appeared just as I'd left it. The light aroma of lavender, the letters stacked tidily. The pictures hung straight on the wall. I went from one room to another, hunting for any sign of disturbance. There was none. And that evening during our meal, I shared with David what Mrs. Harlan had mentioned. He barely glanced up from his food. She's always been prying, he muttered. Don't let her mess with your thoughts. Perhaps he had a point. Maybe it was merely rumors. But as I lay in bed that night, gazing into the shadows, I couldn't dismiss the sense that somebody had been inside, somewhere past the slim walls and the low buzz of the town. A mystery was lurking for me to uncover. The following day, Mrs. Harlan's comment lingered in my head. I attempted to ignore it, but a subtle worry trailed me all day. At lunchtime, I found myself browsing ads for security cameras on the web, tiny wireless ones that trigger on movement. Affordable reassurance, the ad claimed. That evening I bought one. It showed up 2 days later, and I tucked it on a shelf by the front, pointed at the door. It was so compact that even I had to strain to notice it. I convinced myself it was only a safety step, no big deal. But inside, I already dreaded what it could reveal. Tuesday arrived quicker than I thought. I headed out for work like normal, coffee in grip, trying to overlook the thumping in my chest. The hours crawled. I glanced at my phone over and over, ticking off the minutes until I could check. When I finally entered that night, my fingers shook as I turned the key. The space seemed eerily quiet. I dropped my bag, grabbed a drink of water, and launched the camera. Application. There it was, one motion. Notification. 1:14 p.m. My mouth dried up. I hit play. The door eased open. Somebody walked in, sure and relaxed. For an instant, I couldn't inhale. Then she stepped into the glow and I recognized her. Laura, my son's wife. Her light hair was pulled back simply. Her outfit every day. She scanned the room like it was hers. She went right to the bedroom, slid open my dresser compartment and put a little white packet in it. Then she grabbed a bottle of my scent from the table, misted it once upward, gave a small grin, and exited. The clip stopped. I stayed, stuck, eyeing the display, my pulse racing. What was she up to? Why visit? When I was gone, I replayed it, repeatedly, spotting fresh bits each time. How she peeked in the hall first. How she moved without pause. By the third watch, shock was gone. I felt chilly. That night, I kept it from David. I kept it from everybody. I just secured every lock, settled in the dim living area, and murmured to myself, she has a motive for this, and I'm going to discover what it is. The next day, I rose before dawn. I couldn't quit obsessing over that packet Laura had left in my compartment. Everything in me wanted to dash there and tear it open, but I made myself go slow, to inhale, to seem ordinary. David was still sleeping when I crept from bed and tiptoed to the bedroom dresser. The compartment squeaked lightly as I tugged. My heart thumped. It was bare. The packet had vanished. I lingered there, while gazing at the flat, vacant spot where it sat. Not even a speck of paper or a crease remained. Somebody had returned. All day, the idea wouldn't leave. At the office, my hands typed on autopilot while my brain looped every second of that clip. Laura's easy smile, her purposeful actions. It wasn't accidental. When I got back that night, the place shone as usual, but it didn't feel like home anymore. Every noise, the fridge buzz, the clock tick seemed like an invasion. At supper, I brought up Mrs. Harlan's comment to David once more. This time I admitted I'd set up a camera. His response was quick. He put down his utensil and scowled. Emily, you're letting this affect you. You've been under pressure. You're spotting connections that don't exist. I studied him closely. So you believe it's all made up? He exhaled. I think you need a break, not detective tales. Then he grinned, the weary kind that shuts down talk. I didn't push back. I just agreed, acting like I bought it. But deep down, a change happened. If I was really dreaming it up, why did he seem so on guard? Why not want to view the clip? That night, I took a seat at my table and started a fresh journal. On the opening page, I printed clearly, Tuesday, 1:14 p.m. Visitor identified Laura Kane. Packet added, then taken. Period. Under it, I wrote another sentence. Likely duplicate key active. Origin. Unknown period. Then I shut the journal, slid it into the bedside drawer, and said quietly to myself, if I'm losing it, then I'll be the type that tracks everything. By the following week, my worry had sharpened into clear determination. I informed David I felt off and would stay home working on Tuesday. He pecked my cheek and headed out early, missing the tiny extra camera I'd stashed behind the bookcase aimed at the corridor. When the time hit 1, I dimmed the lamps and waited in the bedroom, heart beating so loud I heard it. The quiet was heavy, nearly charged. At precisely 1:12 p.m., I caught the soft snap of the lock. I stopped breathing. From the slim gap in the bedroom door, I spotted her, Laura. Same light pink top, same steady pace. She shut the door after her, placed her bag down, and headed straight for the dresser like she ran the show. She pulled the identical compartment as last time and set something in it, another small packet. Then she paused, there a second, facing away. I saw her image in the glass. She smiled slightly, misted scent upward, and said words I couldn't catch. After a bit, she went out. The second the door clicked, I counted to 30, then hurried to the dresser. My fingers quivered as I opened the compartment. In it was a picture, an old snap from a family cookout a decade back. David and Laura standing overly near, his palm on her arm. I recalled that afternoon I'd been in the kitchen, chatting with Alex while they hung by the barbecue. On the photo's reverse in clean script, certain things stay the same. Period. I perched on the bed's edge, the picture shaking in my grip. It wasn't an error, it was a signal. That night, I drove to the other side of town to visit my pal Karen. She was in, attorney dealing with wills and always knew when to listen without words. Over herbal drinks, I shared a slice of the facts that an intruder had been coming into my home uninvited. Karen frowned. If you have proof, keep gathering it. Hold off on facing them. Folks who bend rules like this don't anticipate surveillance. Her advice stuck. On the way back, I skipped the music. The urban glow streaked by my glass as I clutched the wheel. They figured I was clueless, but I was observing now, and soon I'd force them to view what I did. The next day, I figured out my plan. Worry had held me back too long. Now it powered me. First, I phoned a lock expert. While David was at the office, a guy came and swapped the worn bolt for a fresh one. I said it was for calm, and he didn't pry. When he was gone, I stood at the door, twisting the key in my palm, sensing command for the first time in ages. Next was the funds. At the branch, my hands hardly shook as I requested to split my share from our shared account. Private matters, I explained to the teller. In under an hour, I held a new car and a solo account, all mine. Then, I duplicated it all, the clips, the images, even captures of David's texts about gatherings missing from his schedule. I stored them on a drive and called it Tuesday Docs. A backup went into a secure spot on my computer. That night, I prepared our meal like always usual. David came in with a mild grin, chatting about the day. When he saw the new lock, his brows rose. When did this go in? The previous one had problems, I said. Casually, the property overseer suggested an update. He paused a beat, then agreed. You could have mentioned it. You were occupied, I answered. We dined. Quietly. The fork clinks were our only noise. He seemed weary, but not at fault. Not yet, anyway. He thought he still held the reins. Later, while he viewed shows, I sat near, faking phone scrolling. Actually, I was jotting notes, dates, hours, tiny slips. Each entry got a marker. Anger was faded. I felt exact, firm, waiting. Before sleep, I eyed the wall planner. Tuesday was marked in red. Tomorrow I'd watch what shifted when the game flipped, and I wasn't the target anymore. The invite arrived that morning. A message from Laura. Nice. Easy, spot on timing. Meal tomorrow evening at ours. Family. Only. Let's settle things. I read it. Long before answering. Absolutely, I'll come. When I mentioned it to David, he looked eased. Great, he said. Time to end this silliness. Silliness. His term for deceit. The following night, I showed up at their home punctually. Laura met me at the entrance, her grin wide, her look assessing. She had on a gentle blue outfit, and the whiff of her scent, the exact one from my room, washed over me. Emily, she said warmly, thrilled you. Made it. The dining setup was for four. Lights danced, glasses gleamed. Alex was seated, appearing upbeat but a tad edgy. Mom, he said, rising for a hug. Nice to see you. David filled drinks. For all, pushing normalcy too much. Let's unwind, he said. No more doubts. No more hidden stuff. For a short while, we acted the roles. The courteous grins, the empty chatter. Laura giggled at David's joke, brushing his arm softly. My insides churned. When the sweet course came, I laid my utensil aside and eyed David. Perhaps read that message, I said low. He blinked. Which one? The draft too. Laura, I answered. The unsent one. The space froze. Alex's reach for his drink halted. Laura's cheeks drained. David's mouth opened, hunting words. But I went on. Let me quote it gently. We ought to ease up. She's catching on. Quiet, just the soft candle sputter. Alex glanced around, bewilderment, becoming awareness. Dad, what's Mom? Meaning? Silence. I rose gradually, my seat grinding the floor. You two need more caution, I said. Hiding something doesn't erase it. Then to Alex, you merit the facts. I'll let them tell you. And I left, abandoning the aroma of drink and a space packed with specters finally cornered. I didn't rest that night. Instead, I perched by the glass, eyeing the town glow's dim to daybreak, sensing the odd piece post. Tempest. By dawn, I'd rung Karen. My tone stayed firm when I declared, now's the moment. In the coming weeks, it all sped up. Karen compiled the proof. Clips, images, messages, account records. She was silent but tireless, a lady who got that fax count only when recorded. David attempted contact multiple times, but I ignored. He dispatched blooms, notes, even stuck one on my vehicle. Glass. Let's discuss. I had no interest in chat anymore. When the hearing day came, I donned a plain dark outfit and pulled my hair neat. No accessories, no. Face just poised. David's attorney went first, depicting me as unsteady, a nervous spouse who fabricated. Karen bided before rising. She set a binder on the bench and flipped it. These, she stated, are records from Miss Thompson's home device. The material displays the same person, Miss Laura Kane, accessing her dwelling repeatedly without okay. The packet, the scent, the image, every instance confirmed. The judge bent in, reviewing the prints. David dodged my gaze. Laura sat a couple rows back, her skin ashen, fingers knotted in her lap. Then the message. Karen passed the printed unsent note. From David to Laura. Verify this is yours, she queried. David paused, then murmured, yes. That single term sealed it. The decision was quick. Sole rights to the home for me, 50% of joint holdings, and no contact orders for both. As I exited the building, the air was clear and crisp. Media lingered on the stairs, but I continued. I just moved on my steps, echoing the ground, even and purposeful. For the initial time in months, I wasn't pursuing facts anymore. I stood in them. 6 months gone since court, and my world seems altered now. Calm, intentional mind once more. The home that felt like a trap is now a haven. I fling open the panes each dawn, allow the urban air to flow through the drapes, and brew coffee at precisely 1 o'clock every Tuesday. It began as routine, but now it's ceremony, a nod to what I endured. David relocated across states soon after the case. Rumors said he was let go. Something with money mismatches the firm couldn't overlook. Laura, I learned, hung around locally a spell, but finally went too. Word was she took up property. Sales. I don't follow. My boy Alex drops by frequently now. Initially, struggled with eye contact, pulled between affection and letdown. But gradually, the strain eased. We prepare meals together, discuss jobs, sometimes share quiet. That quiet once stung. Now, it mends. Mrs. Harlan still resides a couple levels higher. Now and then she visits for drinks and her subtle wise grin. One day she noted, you really swept things clean, huh? I grinned in return. Yeah, thoroughly. I've begun leading story sessions at the local hub on Saturdays, mainly for ladies reconstructing after splits or grief. We cover honesty, lines, and shaping hurt into value. They don't hear my whole tale, but I spot the spark in their looks. At times passing the glass, I hardly know the reflection. The lady there isn't scared or weak. She's steady, rooted, unbound. Recently, heading out my door, I bumped into Mrs. Harlan once more. She eyed me with that familiar glint and murmured, they never figure ladies like us will. Triumph. I chuckled softly. Then they better begin. As I secured the door, after the click was sharp and done. No shadows, no dread, just the ring of serenity in the spot where lies once dwelled. Tuesday is now my top day.